Do you want to know the top 5 decorating mistakes I see as an interior designer and how you can avoid them in your own home? If so, this video is for you. Hey people, my name is Natalie and welcome to Design, Build, Style. Each week we take a topic and break it down into 3 segments: design, build, style, covering information that you will want to know for everything to do with design, construction, and home decorating. So today we're actually gonna be talking about 5 mistakes that I see people do a lot in their homes. I wanna make sure you guys have the information because it's something I see a lot. I figured it's good to give you that information so you can try and avoid doing it in your own home. So let's hop into the design segment and get started. The first mistake I see people doing is having no design anchor. And this is a term that I use. It's not like an industry term per se, but if you think about it as an anchor, it's the one thing that everything else will sort of spin off in a design in your home. So in a living room, oftentimes the design anchor should be or could be a couch, or perhaps it's a very beautiful, elegant coffee table that's a statement piece, and you want the rest of the room to be built off of that item. So that's what I mean by design anchors. The first most important piece to you in that room, and then you're going to make sure everything else flows and is a great complement to that item. So in a living room, like I said, that would either typically be a couch or perhaps a special coffee table. It doesn't always have to be furniture. If you have an art piece, say an heirloom art piece, or just a piece of art that you're absolutely in love with and you want that to be the star of the room, that would be your design anchor. So have that item and make sure everything complements and works really well with it. So many times people just pick, oh, I like this couch. Oh, I like this coffee table. Oh, I love this art. And they cram it all together and just hope that it happens to work together because they love those items. So you don't want to do that because it can feel a little flea market-esque. It's nothing against flea markets. I actually love flea markets. But you don't want your house to feel so disconnected that you may have so many cool pieces, but none of them really mesh or tie in together. So always make sure your space has that anchor. And if it's not an item, an anchor can also be colors. So I would say in a space, if you want to anchor a space and you don't really know yet on what furniture, go ahead and pick 3 colors. I think 3 is a good number. I have another video about holiday decor using my little 3-3-3-1-1-1 method, so you can go ahead and check that out if you want. But the 3 colors is another way to set an anchor for yourself when you're designing a space. So the 3 colors, typically you'll pick a neutral or a wood tone, and then 2 colors that you like or enjoy that you want to see in the space. That will help you narrow it down, keep the focus, and let it all feel anchored. So now that we've thought about what that means for the design segment, in the build portion, this is what I see people doing wrong in their decorating, is they're not measuring. So the first mistake is not measuring. And what I mean by that is you have to know the dimensions of your room, you have to know the dimensions of the furniture or the artwork that you're placing there, and you have to make sure that they work together. And it's hard. I understand that if you don't have an artistic eye, you may not know if your art is the right size for a couch. But that's where I would encourage you to look online, sort of get some inspiration and see sort of the scale of a space. And same thing really is huge for furniture, especially if you're planning on using, say, couches as an anchor for your living room. You want to make sure that those dimensions are appropriate for the space. Always measure, measure, measure. And the tip that I tell people is go ahead and get some blue painter's tape, empty the room, or even if you leave a rug in there and you're picking couches, for instance, blue tape out those couches so you can see exactly where they would fall in the space, and even do your coffee table or even a rug dimension. It's so much better if you can lay it out and kind of get a visual concept, especially if you're not sort of gifted in that way, so you can see if it will look right. And same thing for art. If you can tape it out on the wall, if you know you're going to be investing in some pieces, take a look and see if it feels balanced, meaning you don't want, giant artwork in a space where there's teeny tiny little tables underneath it. Just little things to be cognizant of. So always make sure you're measuring your spaces and that your stuff is fitting to scale. The third mistake I see is people not paying attention to placement of the items in their space. And what I mean by this is I think sometimes, especially if you don't have that artistic eye, you might put a couch and then a coffee table and then a lamp. Everything's linear and nothing's overlapping. So you want to make sure that as you set stuff up that it makes sense for the room, and you want to nestle some items together. So try not to just go around the room in a perfect straight line and just place things equally spaced. You want some overlap in some certain situations. And same thing for coffee tables. Placement of coffee tables or chairs that are not anchored to the wall. You want to make sure that there's a flow, meaning you have a walkway space, but you don't want it to feel awkward. A mistake I see with placement oftentimes is the coffee table in relation to the couch. A lot of times, especially if you're like trying to figure out this interior decor situation, is you might take the coffee table and place it smack dab in the middle of the room, equally spaced between the couches. But that may not actually work the best. It'll make it feel too disjointed and not really cozy and comfortable. A lot of times you'll want to actually scoot the coffee table towards one of the couches, say you had two in an L shape. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that the placement of your items actually flows well with the room and create little vignettes or spaces, and some items can overlap. Same thing with side tables. You don't want to place a side table too far away from a couch or a chair because it will feel disconnected from the elements around it. So try and train your eye to look at placement as little groupings of things, not necessarily as the entire room. That should help you get some better placement. And to tie into that placement, I mentioned furniture and briefly art, but art really is a big deal. A big mistake I see with art placement is people hanging things too high or placing them too high on their walls. Hopefully you understand what I mean. Sometimes you go in and you want to be able to look at a photo or a picture or a painting, but people have it so much higher on the wall that you can't even really appreciate it. And then it may sit way too high above a couch or a table or something that's placed beneath it. I would even prefer someone hang something too low versus too high. So if in doubt, go lower. I'd rather see your artwork really close to a table than super sky high away from it. So you can go online and look up different art heights, traditional art heights, or standard art hanging heights. There's little tips and tricks you can find online for that kind of stuff. I may even need to do a video on that in the future. But again, try not to hang all your stuff too high. The placement of art, mirrors, any kind of fixtures on the wall really does matter. The fourth mistake I see repeated so many times in home decorating is not spending enough money on the important items. So again, I understand that we all have budgets to live under, that we don't need to be spending frivolous money on home decor, especially in today's economy. You have to be careful with what you're spending. But I want you to take the time and invest in the items that you touch. And that's sort of my rule of thumb. And I do this with home renovations with clients. I tell people the faucet, stuff you're going to touch and deal with all the time, knobs on a cabinet, I think that's something you should invest money in. But if we're talking about decorating in, say, a living room, I would love and encourage you to spend the money on your couch and perhaps the coffee table. You're going to be sitting on that couch and touching it and doing all the things there. So you want to make sure that that is a quality piece of furniture. And I know that's hard, and it may mean delaying your decorating, especially if you're refreshing a space, to find the right couch. You want to go, if you can, I know there's so many ways to shop online now, but we even tell clients, there's so many things that I will order for clients and put in their homes. I really request that clients go see couches in person because you want to touch, see, and feel. And I understand that budget, again, is a factor. So I would say though, in your decor setup, when you're planning all of that, allot the biggest portion to the couch. So I'd really want you to do that. Now rugs, I say you don't need to spend as much money on because you're not touching it. You might be stepping on it, but you're not touching it. A coffee table may be another piece that I say is worth investing in. So spend the bulk of your money on the stuff that really anchors the space that you're going to be touching. And know that the rest doesn't have to be that expensive. It really doesn't, especially when you're looking at vases and even artwork pieces. Now some art, but different things you can find so cheap these days if you go thrifting, if you go to the flea markets. So many online vendors have items of a lesser quality with still really good look. And I'll try and link a few of my favorites in the description box of this video just so you can sort of see what I'm talking about. I'll do some high-end ones and some lower-end ones just so you can sort of see. But all those tchotchkes and accessories in a space, don't worry about spending a ton of money on that. You don't have to necessarily do a Pottery Barn or Williams Sonoma Sonoma or something of a super high end, invest that money in the Pottery Barn couch. And I'll actually take you to my living room in a second and show you my couch and what I mean. And the fifth most common decorating mistake I see is not asking for help. People, it's okay to go online and ask someone like myself or hire a designer if you can, and that's within your budget. Do that. You can. There's different packages that different designers like myself offer where you can do an hour consultation, or you can purchase a package of services. So there's ways that you can get the help you need to really make sure your space is what it needs to be. And if you can't afford an interior designer, or you have no desire to do so, find that friend that has really good taste. And don't be shy in asking. We have to lower our pride sometimes and just ask someone like, hey, does this look good here? Or I really love this chair. Do you have any ideas what I should place around it, with it, to complement it and make this space look better? It's good to ask friends. It encourages them, lets them know that you think they've got good style, but you can also garner so much information for your own space. So please don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's one of the things I'm actually gonna start doing now, is I've actually helped several of you via email and some comments on videos helping you in your own space. So I'm going to be offering virtual design consultations. So I'm very excited about that. So if you want more information, go to the description box and you can actually reach out to me. We can work together virtually via FaceTime and texts and emails and get your spaces to where they need to be. You can do small 1 hour package or have me on for an entire project. So we're really excited to start doing that for you guys. So don't be afraid to ask for help. It's something that you really need to do, whether it's hiring a professional or just checking with a very stylish friend. Okay, I've hopped over here to my living room. I'm gonna turn the camera around and show you a few of the elements that I had been discussing and show you the couches that I mentioned earlier. Okay, here we are. It's a bit of a rainy day, so hopefully it's not too dark in here as I'm trying to show you this. So first up are the couches. If you notice, these are the anchors to the space. I actually decided on them first and sort of planned everything else around them. I picked ones with some classic lines, just a little bit slopier. These are Pottery Barn couches. They were my investment for the space. So as I said to you, spend the money on the item that's really going to be touched and used, and I made sure they were leather because I knew we've got kids and dogs and a lot of people coming over, so I wanted them to last a really long time. But the other items are things that I had mentioned. So as you see here, I've got the anchor, which is the couches, but I also have a color palette that you can see here. It's very narrowed down into what tones I put in the space, so you can kind of look through there and see that there's a cohesive color palette. And then as I was talking about, hanging art and placement of items. So this coffee table, come back to that, is, as I was saying, centered would be over to the center, but if you put it a little bit closer to the couch, it actually just helps the space feel more cohesive. So that's what I meant by that. And then if you look at my artwork, this is actually a very tall ceiling. I don't know if it'll show really well on camera, but the artwork is closer to the couch. That helps this whole area feel more connected. If my artwork was higher, which some people are prone to doing, it just wouldn't feel as cohesive of a little design moment. And the placement as well is, a lot of times people will say, okay, here's my side table, then I should put my lamp beside it and have everything all lined up. When really, in fact, you want to circle and sort of nest items together so they're not just lined up in a linear fashion, but they overlap each other. So those are some of the things I was talking about. So hopefully that's a little helpful visual from my own house. Let's go back to my desk. So that's it, the top 5 decorating mistakes that I see people make and how you can try and avoid and fix them in your own space. So hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any video ideas for the future episodes, what you would like to see, please drop that down in the comments or shoot me an email or whatever you're comfortable with. I really want to make this a fun space to come back to when you see my little face on the screen that you want to click through and get some information and products and tips and reviews and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you like, subscribe, and go watch another video, and I'll see you soon.